Bondage of desires. I got a good question some time ago, so I wanted to answer that. Desires are like the main, you can say, stumbling obstacle that keeps us from going deeper into this self-realization or awakening process. But here's the thing: you can't just wish them away. You can't just intellectually say, you know what, I know these desires block me, so I'm spiritual now and I want to awaken, and so I'm just going to pretend like I don't have them. It doesn't work. Now, one can see, I went through this. I was in Thailand 15 years ago, I don't know. And that's when I was doing my formal, you can say, sadhana every morning and evening, meditation, yoga in the morning, evening meditation, go to sleep. I was sitting there, man, and for like 3 nights in a row, I was wondering, like, what's it like to get a soapy massage? That's like Thailand, one of Thailand's famous things, And I'm like, nah, it's not spiritual though. Like, stop. Meditation. I can't meditate. See, that desire is like rolling around. And fortunately, my character is such that I'm not much aesthetic. I don't. It's not my way to suppress, and then hope one day it just dissolves. It's never happened to me, and I've never seen it happen to anybody. So I don't know. Has that ever happened to you? I think like the common philosophy and aesthetic type practices to achieve samadhi is you just force yourself to meditate. If you get bad thoughts or something, go fast. It's just constant, almost like punishment. And then at some point, you're going to get the reward and hit samadhi, and then all your desires are just going to collapse into this samadhic state. It sounds nice. It just didn't work for me. So I'll tell you what worked for me is going and doing it. Go do what you want to do and be conscious when you do it and taste how it feels to do it. Taste the poison, taste if there's any nectar, and you taste all that. And then let your inner wisdom dictate and be like, okay, I think I'm not going to do this anymore. Or, no, this is okay, maybe once in a while. Or, I'm going to do this all the time. Whatever, we don't know. God put these desires in us because that's part of the show. This is part of the whole game of transcendence. If there's no desires, what are we going to transcend? Anyway, I didn't forget my story. So I was doing my meditation practice, and then every morning and night, and then in the evening, it was just bothering me like 3-4 days, and I'm like, I need to go do this. I need to go experience what this is like, So I went down to Patong. It's called Christian's Massage. It's a huge, like, skyscraper building. And I went in there, and you had to pick the girl and everything. And then she takes you up in the elevator into the room. Cleaning ladies smile, everybody's nice. And then we go in there, and then you're supposed to get naked, and then she's supposed to, like, put soap on you and slide up and down on your body, basically, on your back. I remember she was saying that there was a big guy in there, it's like 400 pounds, and she actually slid right off and ran into the wall. So, here's what happened though. I didn't really feel like getting into all that. I just, because it wasn't, there's no, like, we don't love each other, right? So it was kind of like it felt too superficial, and there was no allure. But what I did want to do then is I interviewed her. So we spent basically the whole hour, and I was just asking her questions because I was curious, like, do you like what you're doing, and why do you do it? And yeah, she was cool. This was a temporary thing she was doing. She was making a bunch of money, and she's buying a phone and helping her mom and getting her a car and doing this and that, and then she's gonna go to school. That's what she's gonna do. So I was like, okay, so it's not like you're just thrown into this against your will and all that. Now that happens too in some places, but I don't have experience with that. That's usually underground stuff. But in the open spaces, a lot of girls just like it. I talked to other girls there too. It's not my style. And I'm glad I left Thailand because there's too much. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. Generally, the coastal areas, this is different. I found a nice private spot. Generally, the coastal areas is too much party vibe. It's too much sense stimulation. Sex is just in the air and everything. So that can fortify these desires and stimulate the senses and everything. So for a sadhaka or somebody who's really wanting to go deeper into their their being, might not want to live in those places. Now, what do you do though? What do you do when you have these desires? Because it's kind of a fast track that if we can get rid of these desires, the mind's more quiet. When the mind's more quiet, automatically we're more meditative. When we're more meditative, that means we're more empty. When we're more empty, the consciousness automatically starts to self-reflect. It realizes its own self. It like turns on itself. Instead of being projected out on an external level and thoughts and desires, sensations, etc. If all that's chill and quiet, the consciousness it just turns on itself. This is self-realization. So part of the spiritual practice and wisdom is to find out what's obstructing, what's keeping the consciousness out, and then troubleshoot that. And a big thing that keeps the consciousness out is desires. So you write a desire list and you look at them. Some of the desires, just writing them down, you're like, oh, I don't want to do that. Like I used to ride sport bikes. I used to like that as a teen. It's dangerous. I don't like them anymore. I mean, I still like them. So that was on my list. I wanted to be a professional racer. But when I looked at it, I'm like, man, that costs so much money. I don't have a sponsor. And it's just like, okay, I just crossed it off. And I didn't have to think about it anymore. But before I wrote that on the list, it was kind of always there somewhere, like, ooh, maybe, taking up space, making the mind a little restless. So that's one example. There's other desires. Like I wanted to play, I wanted to learn tennis because I think I was watching there were these two sisters, black girls back in the day, and they were really good. Will Smith made a movie on that, didn't he? I need to see that. So anyway, I would get inspired in a kind of a non-realistic way through movies. That's why I joined the crazy Marine Corps, because I watched Rambo. I'm like, that's me. And it wasn't. And that's why I wanted to be a cop. I watched Lethal Weapon. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Just be a cool cop. Just do whatever you want. It doesn't work like that. So I wanted to be a tennis player because I watched these sisters. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get all the attention. And so I went to take a couple private tennis lessons and learned pretty quick that I didn't have it. And so I stopped. But you see, I had to actually experience that, whereas the motorcycle racer, it was enough just to say, nah, I don't want to do that. So you take steps to like diminish these desires. This is what you do. And then your mind's more quiet. And then your sadhana is better. And then you come into an actual organic awakening. You can still have a sense of sattvic, peace, but on subconscious level, these desires can still be there. And it's still keeping you from dropping totally into yourself. See, now we're getting into subtle introspection. Particularly if you're in your 20s or teens or even 30s. I just feel to say it takes a good 40 years, and that's for somebody who's really has a diligent spiritual practice and good samskaras and an authentic urge to awaken. It takes that time to actually have all the karma come out into where you can see it. Otherwise, it's like these things can be hiding inside. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't recognize yourself in the meantime, but what I'm saying is this deepening of self-recognition, self-realization, it never ends. I've already said that. I keep saying it because it's true. There's no one and you're done. But what I've found, because you can say I had self-recognition when I was 12 years old, when I had this boom from the universe where I was so peaceful and blissed out that I couldn't handle it. I was like praying to the devil, like, can you help me, man? I need some contrast here. So, but after like 40, when all these desires and ambitions, and what am I going to be? Oh, this would be cool to go here, go experience that. After I did all that, I lived a full life. I recommend living a full life so you can burn through all this stuff quicker. I noticed somehow this recognition was more deep and more stable, and it just was more authentic, you can say. Okay, so you can't just make yourself think you don't have any desires. If you're younger, you might have them. Most people have them their whole life, even if they're old, young, it doesn't matter. But I'm talking to those who are you're really deeply devoted to the spiritual path. You guys, you can finish off this karma and desires if you pay attention and work through it. Don't waste time. Use this life to be free. Part of that is knowing what you desire and going to experience it. So it's cool. Enjoy the desires. Like, it's not like negative. It's fun. It's a nice experience in life. I had a strong desire to do plant medicine. And so I did. Came to South America, did ayahuasca, San Pedro. And then I had a strong desire to have a girlfriend / medicine sister who we could do medicine together with. Ooh, that was great. That was a desire. And did it make the mind a bit busy? Because, yeah, but so what? I'm really happy I got to experience that. Now I don't have that anymore because I experienced it. But this guy, David Reinhard, I think, something like that. He asked, I just want to finish on this part, what he said. He says, you mentioned a lot of your videos, it's important to live out certain desires in order to make the way free for realization of consciousness. It makes sense to, you live out these certain karma in order to make the way more free to realize our true nature. But what if certain desires can't be lived out anymore? When the person has accumulated tendencies in life circumstances that brought them so far from the possibility to live out these desires, then what do we do? Could it also go the other way, that being unfulfilled from not being able to live out the desires, could that create another type of karma that motivates the person even more into surrendering? I'm going to simplify. What if you got strong desires and you can't experience them? You can't live them out because of whatever, it's circumstantial. Okay, if that's really the case, then you don't need to live them out. Then good, you're lucky. Then you have within you the power to transcend them without actually having to live them out. I was with a guy in Bali. He came. We were working together. He was talking to me. We were talking about this subject. I remember. He said, "Man, I have this strong desire. I want to go to Thailand and shoot heroin with some girls in a motel room for a few days." I said, "Do you really?" He says, "No, not really, because like in Thailand they'll kill you. A lot of these Asian countries for drugs." So a situation like that, you have some silly mental fantasy about experiencing some kind of desire that it would do you more harm than good, but if you experienced it. So that, or you just don't have the means to experience the desire. It's like when I wanted to be a motorcycle racer. It was just impossible. I didn't have the money to get started or anything. So that desire was able to be transcended via just wisdom. You just look at the situation. If there's really no way to experience the desire, it's almost like it can't keep moving around in your mind because there's nothing you can do. So then you ask God, you bring your attention in and you let intuition help you overcome that. Maybe you'll get the intuitive thought like, yeah, you know what? Actually, what's that desire going to do anyway? It's not going to really, how's that going to, it's like, it's a waste of time. But that will come with power. That will come backed with inner power. See, if the mind says something like that, let's say you have I tried to do that with the whole soapy massage in Thailand. I'm like, this is just stupid. Why would I waste my time? It didn't have any power though. It was my mind saying that. Because there was still, I was able to go experience that, and it wasn't going to hurt anybody. So see, I had to let that play out on a physical level. But if that wasn't possible, then you could just transcend via your own inner power and wisdom, and God will help you do that. Like, it's fine. Let me know how you like that video. All right, see you.